Welcome, everybody. My name is Corey Allen, of course, and this is the Overton Report. We're interviewing Dennis Browne today, and Dennis is running for the EC of Charleston County. How you doing, Dennis?
Hey, Corey, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Of course, man. Thanks for joining us. So before we, just so everybody out there knows, we're going to kind of talk about what an EC does, what their responsibilities are, and also more, just as important, what an EC doesn't or cannot do. So this is probably, I think we've talked about this recently, which is part of why we're doing this interview. I think the EC is probably the most misunderstood or least understood position in a county. So it's definitely it doesn't have the glamour of the chairman, you know what I mean? So but they
Yep.
have a very important position to uphold. So yeah, I hope that this will kind of shed some light on it. But first I want to talk to you, Dennis. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got involved in politics, what made you decide to get involved.
Right. Well, like a lot of people, you come at it from maybe frustration or concern, and so you realize that you really have to get involved. That voting is not enough. So you start to look and see where you can fit in, what you can do, and so there's an evolution that kind of happens there. And another thing you learn too, that frustration or it's not enough. You really have to look at why you want to do it, what is it you want to do. So that process for me, I actually, before living in Low Country, I lived in Florida, and I had some people, business associates that I worked with that were involved in politics. So I was orbiting around it then, and when I came to Low Country, my wife and I decided to jump in with both feet and get involved
How
and
long ago was
look
that?
for where. I'm sorry,
How long ago was that?
about 6 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, about 6 years ago. So we jumped in and to see where we could get involved. Our first involvement was with the CCRP and going to meetings and getting ourselves up to speed. We got involved with the Charleston meeting. And then we started realizing there was a bunch of auxiliary meetings and we started jumping in with those. And we decided that we were going to pay attention. Our initial focus was going to be on candidates and people that touched our where we live, directly where we live, and see what we could do. Down ballot candidates.
So
Everybody
like
knows who's running for.
state
Yeah, everybody.
rep, state
Correct.
senate,
State reps, school
county
board
council.
situations. Yeah, town council, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so from there, my wife and I, we started. I live on Wamala Island,
Okay.
and we started something called the Wamala Island Breakfast Club.
Oh, okay.
And it was us putting our sword in the ground and saying, okay, the Republican Party is here, conservatism's here, and we're going to make sure and do everything we can to educate our base, to bring people to in front of them. And we started holding meetings in our home,
Okay.
and we had a lot of candidates gave them the opportunity to come in and speak. From there, we built one of our first relationships was with state senator, state rep Matt Lieber.
Okay.
And though we never worked directly on his staff, we committed to him to help him get out the vote on Wamala Island and
Okay.
represent him. And we had some great results. Wamala is traditionally a blue area of the county, but Matt actually won Wamala Precinct 1 in this last election, and he only lost Wamala 2 by 26 votes. So
Okay.
that was
So
it was a huge gain and a huge pickup. And we're quite proud of that accomplishment.
yeah.
And out of the Wamala Island Breakfast Club, I got to know and meet up with Duke Buckner, and that kind of evolved to where I became Duke's campaign manager
Okay.
on his
Okay.
congressional run.
And
Um,
Duke showed very well in Clyburn's
Duke,
district,
he did
especially
great.
for what he had to work with.
Yeah, Duke picked up. Let me back up. I shouldn't say that. The district picked up 4,000 more voters. 4,000 more people voted in 2022 compared to 2018. Duke picked up 22,000 more votes than the Republican who ran in 2018. 22,000. James Clyburn lost 15 compared from 2022 to 2018. And there's 14 counties represented in that district. It's a huge district. And we actually fought to a draw in 11 of those counties. The three counties that I was James Clyburn won, and congratulations to James Clyburn. But the three counties that really got us was Richland, Orangeburg, and Charleston.
Right.
But Duke represented well. Duke is a terrific candidate, and did a great job and worked really hard. So
Well, so that's, I kind of want to just touch on that briefly. So basically you've been involved in politics one point or another, like volunteering, holding meetings, doing all the things that
yeah,
most people
yeah,
don't do, right? For a
yeah,
long time. And then you went and you helped candidates, and like you said, you picked up 22,000 more votes for the Republican Party in congressional seat 7.
no, 6.
6, sorry, 6, that's right.
Yeah, that's okay.
7 is Tom Rice, I think, right?
I think you might be right. Yeah,
Same
Charleston
thing.
County. Charleston County, we touch up against District 6 and District 1.
Right.
Yeah.
So, 22, you picked up 22,000 votes there, and now you've decided that you want to run for county EC for Charleston County.
Correct.
So, tell us what the responsibilities of a county executive committee person are.
Sure. In accordance with the bylaws from Charleston County, my job is to go and represent Charleston County at the state level with the state party, attend their meetings, become a part of of a committee if necessary, and basically wherever I can fit to do the most good for the state party as well as Charleston County. And the official second piece of the job is to come back and give a full report of state business as far as the Republican Party is concerned.
How often do the ECs go up? Is it a once a month thing, once a quarter?
I think it really, I think it really depends on your involvement. Is minimally at once a quarter.
Okay.
It could be monthly. It could be even more than that, depending on if you belong to a committee or if you're a part of an organizing something or whatever. So it could create that you're going there more often. My number one focus is the Charleston County Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
So, Corey, I'm not opposed to going there daily. If I think it helps advance the cause of what's going on in Charleston County.
Mm-hmm.
I 100% want to do what's right by the state and by the state party. And I'll be looking for ways to do that always. But my priority is going to be Charleston County. That's my focus, is Charleston County. And whatever tools that I think I can bring back to this county to help advance the conservative cause here is going to be a high priority for me.
Okay. So you said there are committees. Are there any so those committees they're assigned by the state party?
Yeah, I guess you're either assigned or you can volunteer for it.
Okay.
I'm sure it's a wide variety of things.
You have your eye on any of them?
You know what? No, I don't.
No, okay.
And quite frankly, I have to do some ramping up as far as all that stuff's concerned. But
Right.
if I think I can bring some good to a committee, then I'm going to jump in. If I think I can bring some good to Charleston, then I'm really going to dig in and say, no, I want to be a part of this.
Do you think that the current leadership and the current EC for Charleston County, do you think that he's used his position for that? Do you think he's used his position to try and help increase wins in Charleston County? Or
that's an interesting question, Corey. I'm going to go back 2 years ago to when we reorganized our county. I don't know if you remember or not, but we had one person running for chair. We had one person running for vice chair. We had one person running for EC.
mm-hmm.
As you know, that's not the case this time. So I really think that this feels healthier to me.
Yeah.
And we have some choices that steel is sharpening steel. And the people of Charleston are going to get, the Republican folks who live here in Charleston County are going to get a chance to speak. And they're going to get a chance to express their feelings. And I've also really worked hard. I don't. This may sound odd. I don't feel like I'm running against anybody. I'm running for the seat because I really have my thoughts on what I want to do with it. As for Mark Hartley, the people of this county are going to get to decide how that looks and how they feel about that. And so we're going to learn. We're going to learn together.
Absolutely. There were some things that happened in the last reorg. I was there.
Mm.
watching as everything unfolded, and there was just the issues with the delegates not being
Yeah.
written on it. And I'm gonna
There
I'm
really,
gonna do a lot some
yeah,
stuff on that
yeah,
later.
yeah,
But this also, like, what I think is important here is that this surpasses just Charleston County too. I mean, it's the same thing in every county, where if you only have one person running for a seat, like you said, I mean, that's not how you get the best,
yeah,
right? That it's just, if you don't have choices, you're kind of taking out the entire, I don't know, the entire spirit of
yeah.
everything that we base our system on, aren't you?
Correct. Steel sharpens steel, Corey. And when you have an earnest debate and then the people get to decide, it just feels healthier.
Mm-hmm.
And I've told everybody that when I win, if I win, I'm going to get to work that day. That day the work begins. And if I don't win, then the first thing I'm going to do is go shake the winner's hand. And I think sometimes in Charleston, we're a little, Corey, we're a diverse group. We're not monolithic. We're diverse. We're all conservatives. We're all Republicans, but we all approach it from different directions.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want everybody to understand that my intention is to represent all. I'm going to represent all. And when I say all, I always, when I speak, I always say capital A, capital L, capital L. I'm going to represent all. And I think a big part of that is me listening, is
Yeah.
just listening, just having the conversation. But at some point of that conversation, that it's important for me, if I have a seat, is to shut it down and listen to what people are saying to me, so I best know how they want me to represent them. My feeling on this seat, Corey, is it's their seat. It belongs to the Republican conservative people of Charlotte. It's their seat.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm asking for is their trust and their support and their vote. But I'm never going to lose sight of the fact that it's their seat. It belongs to them.
It's interesting that you bring up that point about it being their seat, the people's seat, and listening. Around the whole state, this has happened in it's no secret that South Carolina's Republican Party is hyper factionalized. There are factions of conservatives, like you said, coming at conservatism or republicanism from different points.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no secret that there's some fairly liberal ones as well. So what often seems to happen at the chair level or the EC level, or even the vice chair, if the person who it holds that seat is part of one faction or another, a lot of people feel, me included sometimes, that that person will make a decision based almost solely off of wanting to do the opposite of what the other faction wants. Whether or not
Right.
it's right or wrong, it's just
Right.
factional rather
Right.
than principles or philosophically correct. So
Yeah.
is that something that you kind of want to I don't know, put a pin in and keep from happening? You want to include all the different groups and factions in the decision making process?
100%. And you know what? When I worked for Duke on his campaign, you get into these earnest debates and you get into these conversations, and you got to let that happen. And it is okay to agree to disagree. It
You
doesn't
just have
have
to
to,
have the conversation in good faith. You
in
just have
good
to,
faith. It doesn't have to be a flame throwing competition. It could be just we're having an open, honest debate, and sometimes it's okay to say, listen, let's agree to disagree on this particular issue, but let's not shut down the conversation, and let's keep the conversation going. Let's keep having the conversation, and let's keep having the debate, because I I promise we're going to find more things to agree on than we're going to find to disagree on.
if we're
Because
looking
again,
for them.
at the end of the day, we are all Republicans and we are all conservatives.
Cool.
So we're going to find common ground. It may be how we go about it, it may be how we approach it, it may be the methodology behind it, and that's okay. We can have debate and conversation about that. And you know what? Shockingly, maybe that debate and conversation, I might learn something. Wouldn't that be good for everybody? I mean, ultimately, that there's been an education, evolution, or whatever you want to call it, that maybe something can be brought to the table. It doesn't have to be good for me. It has to be good for Charleston County Republican Party. It needs to be good for that. We need to grow it. It needs to get bigger. It needs to get stronger. Corey, the presidential election is going to come steamrolling right through South Carolina, right through Charleston. So what happens here, there's going to be a bit of a national impact
Oh yes.
to it. And so we have to pay attention to the school board, and we have to pay attention to the presidential cycle, and everything in between, because it's coming right through us. It's coming right through here. I mean, we had Nikki Haley announced right here in Charleston.
And
We
her
have Tim
office, her
Scott.
head office is here.
Yeah, we have Tim Scott. He's currently on a listening tour of the country. I'm sure James Clyburn is going to do his Joe Biden thing again. He already has indicated that he's going to do that. So we
And
have to understand who the
South Carolina is going to be the first state for the Democrat primary. This is I think you're absolutely right. I think that that's why this reorg to me is actually more important than at least the last one or the last couple in my mind, because this year, the next year to year and a half, South Carolina is going to be the focus of the nation, more so than it's been in 160 years. I think that is what we're contending with here, and we really have to be able to bring all sides of the Republican Party to the table. Otherwise, we're going to get a North Carolina or Georgia type thing happening here. And I think that's the reason that the Democrat Party is hyper focusing on South Carolina and moving it to the first state, because their goal is to make South Carolina more of a swing state, work towards that end. And it won't take much if we have people in leadership who are saying, I don't like your faction, so I'm going to do the opposite of everything you say. Like, we can't have that happening on any side. So I think it is
important. Totally agree. Yeah. Right.
It definitely is. So are you guys going to be running, are you running as a slate with anybody, or you're just individual?
That's a great question, Corey. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm running for EC. I've been asked this question before. Do I have some thoughts on the chairman and the vice chair? I do, but I'm for today, I'm going to kind of keep that to myself. And here's why I'm going to keep it to myself. I'm prepared to work with whoever becomes our chairman, whoever becomes our vice chairman. And I think that's important. I think it's important, again, to go back, that we don't always approach it from the same direction. We come at it from different angles. And I don't want to upset anybody, think, well, you didn't endorse me, or you didn't, whatever. Right. I'm prepared to work with whoever becomes our.
Awesome. And so there's just one other thing that I'd like to ask you about. For people out there, which I know that there are still some, I know a lot of people that watch my show are pretty clued into politics, especially South Carolina, but still a lot of people don't really know how this process works.
Sure.
It's not a normal election. It's not like anybody, because we don't register parties, right? So it's not like just anybody off the street can come in that day and vote. It's a totally different system of delegates. So can you just run us through quickly?
Sure.
The process and how those things work?
100%. I like the fact that you use the word process. It is definitely a process election. The state of South Carolina requires that all political parties reorganize themselves every 2 years. Thus the word reorg. It looks very much like a caucus, like the Iowa caucus, for example. But we here in South Carolina, we call it reorg. What happens, it's a two-part process. The first part is our county will hold a reorg, and it'll be on March 25th. And people who are Republicans will come to reorg in their precinct. I believe we have, let me just give you the exact number. We have exactly 182 precincts in Charleston County. And every precinct will meet. It will elect a president. It will elect a vice president. It will elect a secretary, treasurer, and every precinct will elect an executive committeeman. And then it will elect delegates to go to the county convention.
Right.
Now, just because you are elected an officer doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be a delegate, but you can definitely become both, but you have to go through your precinct and
be voted into being a delegate.
and be voted into that process. So
And
once it's been established who your officers are inside your precinct and who your delegates are inside your precinct, of the 5 officers that you picked, it is the executive committeeman who can go to monthly meetings and actually cast a vote on any issue within the Charleston County Republican Party.
right.
People think it's the president. That's not the case. The person who has the vote is the executive committeeman.
Hmm.
So that's the first piece of the process. You elect your officers, you elect your delegates. Now, the second piece that will happen in April, where your delegates will go to the county convention.
Mm-hmm.
At the county convention, they will swear in a temporary chairman to run the actual convention.
Last time it was Sandy Sin.
Correct. Last time it was Sandy Sin, and I think the time before that, I think it was State Senator Chip Campson, I think.
And they
At
basically
that
do the
meeting,
exact same thing that they did at the
but at
precinct.
now it's at the county level, correct.
Right.
Now they're going to pick who the chairman, the vice chairman, and the executive committeeman are for the county.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
where
the
that election will
delegates,
be.
and then they'll elect delegates for the state
For the
party.
state, that's correct. They'll hold an election for delegates to the state convention.
Right.
At the state convention, there is a requirement. I think they go back 2 primaries to confirm that you either voted
3.
here or someplace else,
Yeah.
or 3. Well, yeah, and they'll confirm that you're a bona fide Republican credentials. That's how they'll do it.
That's just for everybody out there. That is a new rule that was just passed at the last big county meeting.
County, yeah,
During the Silver Elephant Club event. It was
Right.
the day after they
That's
decided
correct.
to do that. You know, there's a lot of contention about it, but I don't know. I don't know about for delegates, but for county chairman and state chair and state ECs, I like that rule for them, you know, to hold a leadership position. I'm up in the air about the 3 primary rule for delegates. I don't know. We'll see how it works out, I guess, Morley.
Yeah, I think at its heart, I could be wrong, Corey, but I think at its heart, because we don't register as party
Mm-hmm.
in the state of South Carolina, they just want to verify that people who are not part of the party are bleeding into the process.
I agree. And we just saw, you know, Crystal Matthews on the phone on a jailhouse phone who was running against Tim Scott talking about sleepers in the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen a couple of lifelong Democrats recently just who hold office switch and start running as Republicans. Some of that's happening in Dorchester and Beaufort. I mean, the Overton report has exposed a few people who are obvious leftists, like in Beaufort County and some different places, who are running for leadership positions in the South Carolina Republican Party,
Right.
or running for elections. And so I understand. I think you're right. The spirit, I think, is correct. We'll see how it works out in real world.
Let's see if it works. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, and if it doesn't work, then we have to fix it for sure.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, and that is something that if you win EC, you would be voting on, right? Because y'all.
I would be part of that fix. Correct.
That's right. So, well, I think that we've broken this all down and given people kind of an idea and an understanding of what the EC does, what you will do as EC, and I really do appreciate you joining me here. Now, I just want to say one thing though. So the Charleston reorg, precinct reorg, which is step 1, guys, is March 25th. That's right.
Correct.
How can people find out?
Yeah, you can go to the Charleston County, the CCRP webpage.
Mm-hmm.
The county's been broken down. I believe it's in 9 districts. Find out what district you're in, and what the district that you're in will tell you where you're going to go do reorg.
And anybody can do that, right?
Correct. Yeah. They will check you have to be a registered voter. Right. And they will check that you are a registered voter in the state and in that precinct. Correct. Mm-hmm. Yes. Correct.
Yeah. So, and that's specific to just the Charleston area, right? Each county will have their own date.
Each county has their own thing. I think they're all required to report back to the state level by April. So the state party can do get prepared and do their thing. Verifications need to be happening. They need to get their ballots in order and make sure that
Of
they have the right
course.
people voting. So when people go, the credentials can be checked, that you are in fact who you say you are, and you should be there. So,
Absolutely. Okay. So I just wanted to put that out there so somebody watching this in, Fort Mill doesn't
right,
show up somewhere on March 25th and like, oh,
right.
what's going on? All right,
Hey,
man.
Corey,
Well,
can I add one more thing real quick?
of course.
Just
Yeah.
just so people know too, all alternates will be picked as well, and I think that's important, especially if you're new.
Mhm.
And maybe I would say definitely get yourself on the ballot. There's a really good chance you'll find yourself as an alternate, and a lot of alternates end up actually taking a seat and taking a part in the process. So I think that's an important piece too.
That's absolutely right. You're that.
Right.
I'm sorry I missed that because
Yeah.
they'll elect alternates, and if there aren't enough people to be alternates, and that just means we lose
Right.
representation in the
That's
vote.
100%. Yeah. We want to claim every seat coming to Charleston County and be a voice.
Absolutely.
So
Well,
understand
awesome.
that that's a, yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, Dennis. I good luck to you, and thank you for the work you've done for the Republican Party so far. I know that I'm not the only one that appreciates that. I hope to talk to you soon, and I guess we'll probably see you at Reorg.
I will be there. I will be there. Hey, Corey, thank you for the opportunity today. This has been great. Thanks.
Oh, of course, man. I really appreciate you joining us. So, all right, guys. Well, we will talk to you later. I hope this was informative for you. And this is Dennis Browne running for executive committeeman in Charleston County. Definitely get involved at your precinct level, wherever you are in the state, and at the county level. This is the way you make the Republican Party what you want the Republican Party to be. It's the only way you can really do it from the inside. I'm an outside kind of guy, but we need good people inside. So, but yeah, my name's Corey Allen, guys, and this has been the Overton Report.